We've all been there, right? You're at the airport, you're looking up at that big departures board, and you see it. That word you absolutely dread, delayed. And then, just when you think it can't get worse, delayed flips to canceled. And just like that, the entire terminal just descends into chaos. But what if it didn't have to be this way? What if airlines can handle these meltdowns better?
And this quote, wow, it really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? It's not really about the canceled flight itself. It's about that feeling of being totally in the dark, completely powerless, and just frustrated. This is what happens when the systems and the people behind them finally break under pressure.
So let's break that chaos down into those very real, very maddening things we all experience. First, there are no updates. You're refreshing your phone, but nothing. So what happens? Everyone floods the service desks, creating those endless lines. Nobody knows how to rebook, and the customer service team is so swamped they're basically unreachable. It all adds up to one single feeling: total and complete frustration.
So how on earth does one single technical glitch spiral into a complete airport meltdown? Well, to figure that out, we need to pull back the curtain and take a look at how the airline is actually designed to work, or in this case, not work.
Here's the thing. It was never just one problem. It was a chain reaction, a perfect storm. The IT systems were old, clunky, and had zero backup plan. The different teams, like operations and customer service, weren't talking to each other. And that failure to communicate just cascaded down, leading to bad info for passengers, no real crisis plan, and no way to quickly move crews and planes around.
So how do you even begin to fix a storm like that? The answer is a whole different way of thinking called Agile. And look, I know that can sound like just another corporate buzzword, but stick with me. It's actually a really practical way to solve every single one of these problems by changing the entire mindset of the organization.
Okay, let's start with the technical heart of the meltdown. This is where a couple of ideas come into play: Agile DevOps and Site Reliability Engineering, or SRE. Don't worry about the jargon. The core idea is actually super simple. Instead of trying to build a system that you hope never fails, you build a system that expects to fail and can recover from it almost instantly. It's like giving the airline its own digital immune system.
And the difference this makes is just night and day. On the left, you have the old way. Something breaks, and it takes hours of frantic work to maybe fix it. But on the right, with this new approach, automated systems spot the problem immediately and can kick off a recovery in minutes. For you, the passenger, that's the difference between a small bump in the road and a completely ruined trip. So the next fix is about the people. It tackles those teams that weren't talking to each other. Agile solution, you create what's called a cross-functional squad. Just think of it like a dedicated crisis response team for the airline. You've got an expert from IT, from operations, from crew scheduling, and from customer service, all in the same room, all focused on one single goal: fix this problem now.
And the impact is huge. Before, you had total confusion, different departments giving out different information. But now, with these squads holding quick 15-minute check-in meetings, everyone gets on the same page fast. Decisions are made on the spot, and a single, clear plan gets communicated out. No more mixed messages.
But what about getting information to all those stranded passengers? Agile handles this with something called a customer experience backlog. Now, that's a fancy name, but all it really is a smart, prioritized to-do list for the tech team. Instead of working on some big project that's a year away, they focus on what passengers need right now. Things like, can we build a one-click rebooking button in the app by this afternoon? And the result for you, the customer, is a total game changer. In the old world, you get radio silence. In the Agile world, even if your flight is still canceled, the airline is proactively sending updates and solutions right to your phone. It can turn a moment of pure frustration into one where you actually feel seen and respected.
Now let's talk about those big, old, fragile IT systems. The Agile fix here is to stop thinking about your technology as one giant block. Imagine your house had only one light switch that controlled every single light. If one bulb blows, the whole house goes dark. That's a monolith. Instead, you break it down into microservices. It's like giving every room its own light switch.
The result of this is simple: resilience. Now, if the baggage system has a glitch, it doesn't take down ticketing and check-in along with it. The failure is contained. This means your recovery time plummets from hours to just minutes because you're fixing one small thing, not trying to restart the entire airline.
And the final piece of this whole puzzle is practice. You can't just wait for a real crisis to test out your plan. So, Agile brings in mock crisis sprints. They're basically fire drills for system meltdowns. And just as importantly, after every drill, the team gets together to analyze what worked, what didn't, and how they can be even better next time.
All that practice builds organizational muscle memory. So when a real disruption hits, people don't panic, they respond calmly, they respond effectively because they have run this exact playbook dozens of times before. It turns crisis management from a panic scramble into a well-rehearsed skill.
Okay, so we've seen all these individual fixes, but what does it actually look like when you put all of these pieces together? Well, you get a blueprint for a truly resilient, modern airline. So here's how it all connects. It starts at the bottom with those small focus squads we talked about. You group a few related squads together and they form a tribe, like a customer experience tribe. But how do you make sure all the different tribes are coordinated? That's where something called a scrum of scrums comes in. It's really just a leadership check-in to solve the biggest airline-wide issues. And the whole thing is powered by that fast, reliable tech engine we discussed.
Now, this all sounds pretty good in theory, but let's be real. What about the bottom line? Why should an airline actually invest all this time and money? Well, as it turns out, being resilient isn't just good for passengers, it's incredibly good for business.
And we're not talking about vague benefits here. We're talking about real, measurable results. Outages are fixed way faster. Your Net Promoter Score, which is just a measure of how much your customers actually like you, goes way up. On-time performance improves. You lose less money on disruptions. And maybe most importantly, you build a reputation people can actually trust. So, the next time you find yourself in an airport, take a second and look around. As you're watching everything happen, ask yourself a simple question. Is the airline I'm flying with just built to react to problems, or is it truly built to be resilient? Because the answer to that question might just be the difference between you getting home on time or not.